instigating the whole thing. You guys were instigating. You guys were instigating. We have video of it. We're going to bring it to you, bring you guys down. Each one of you are going to get into the place. You're not resisting. No. No. Yeah, you're he's not resisting. What do you want from him? He's not doing anything. He's not fighting back.
Welcome.
I come here today to talk about how I feel, and I feel like that we are treated differently than other people, and I don't like how we're treated, and just because of our color doesn't mean anything to me. I believe that
You're doing great. You're doing a great job.
Don't stop. Do not stop.
we are black people and we shouldn't have to feel like this. We shouldn't have to protest because y'all are treating us wrong. We do this because we need to and have rights.
Go ahead. Let her talk. Go ahead.
I've been born and raised in Charlotte, and I never felt this way till now. And I can't stand how we're treated. And it's a shame that our fathers and mothers are killed, and we can't even see them anymore.
That's right.
It's a shame that we have to go to the graveyard and bury them. And we have tears, and we shouldn't have tears. We need our fathers and mothers to be by our side.
Here's something else I wanted to share with you, and this footage just came out over the last 24 hours. What you're looking at is a supermarket in Italy. This isn't in China, this is in Italy. The crown virus has spread to Italy now, and people are starting to freak out. We've seen this before, right? We've all seen this imagery. We've all seen this scene before many times. Tons of movies and TV shows. We've been inundated, mind-controlled with predictive programming for the end times now for decades. And it's really increased, hasn't it? Perhaps for a time such as this. But just think of all the movies and TV shows you've seen about
Ils veulent provoquer une pandémie en utilisant le vaccin à vaporisation nasale, qui est un virus vivant atténué. Ce qui veut dire que si je me fais vacciner, je peux vous contaminer. Vous contracterez la grippe et tout votre entourage aussi. Ensuite, l'État américain, s'appuyant sur les déclarations qu'il a déjà faites, annoncera la pandémie.
This is Dr. Cameron Kyle Seidel, ER and critical care doctor from New York City. 9 days ago, I opened an intensive care unit to care for the sickest COVID-positive patients in this city. In these 9 days, I have seen things I have never seen before. In treating these patients, I have witnessed medical phenomenon that just don't make sense in the context of treating a disease that is supposed to be a viral pneumonia. 9 days ago, I presumed I was opening an intensive care unit to treat patients with a virus causing a pneumonia that was ravaging lungs across the world, starting out as something mild, a cough, a sore throat, and progressively increasing in severity until ultimately ending in something called acute respiratory distress syndrome, or ARDS. This is the paradigm that every hospital in the country is working under. This is the disease, ARDS, that every hospital is preparing to treat. And this is the disease, ARDS, for which in the next 2 to 6 weeks, 100,000 Americans might be put on a ventilator. And yet, everything I've seen in the last 9 days, all the things that just don't make sense, the patients I'm seeing in front of me, the lungs I'm trying to improve, have led me to believe that COVID-19 is not this disease, and that we are operating under a medical paradigm that is untrue. In short, I believe we are treating the wrong disease, and I fear that this misguided treatment will lead to a tremendous amount of harm to a great number of people in a very short time. As New York City appears to be about 10 days ahead of the country, I feel compelled to get this information out. COVID-19 lung disease, as far as I can see, is not a pneumonia and should not be treated as one. Rather, it appears as some kind of viral-induced disease, most resembling high-altitude sickness. It is as if tens of thousands of my fellow New Yorkers are on a plane at 30,000 feet and the cabin pressure is slowly being let out. These patients are slowly being starved of oxygen. I have seen patients dependent on oxygen take off their oxygen and quickly progress through a state of anxiety and emotional distress and eventually get blue in the face. And while they look like patients absolutely on the brink of death, they do not look like patients dying of pneumonia. I have never been a mountain climber, and I do not know the conditions at base camp below the highest peaks in the world. But I suspect that the patients I'm seeing in front of me look most like as if a person was dropped off on the top of Mount Everest without time to acclimate. I don't know the final answer of this disease, but I'm quite sure that a ventilator is not it. That is not to say that we don't need ventilators. We absolutely need them. They are the only way at this time that we're able to give a little more oxygen to patients who need it. But when we treat people with ARDS, we typically use ventilators to treat what's called respiratory failure. That is, we use the ventilator to do the work that the patient's muscles can no longer do because they're too tired to do it. These patients' muscles work fine. I fear that if we are using a false paradigm to treat a new disease, that the method that we program the ventilator, one based on a notion of respiratory failure as opposed to oxygen failure, that this method, and there are a great many number of methods we can use with the ventilator, but this method being widely adopted at this very moment in every hospital in the country, which aims to increase pressure on the lungs in order to open them up, is actually doing more harm than good. And that the pressure we are providing to lungs, we may be providing to lungs that cannot stand it, that cannot take it, and that the ARDS that we are seeing, that the whole world is seeing, may be nothing more than lung injury caused by the ventilator. Now, I don't know the final answer to this disease. I do sense that we will have to use ventilators. We will have to use a great many number of ventilators, and we need a great many number of ventilators, but I sense that we can use them in a much safer way. In a much safer method. That safer method challenges long-held dogmatic beliefs within the medical community and among lung specialists, which will not be easy to overcome. But I really believe that they must be overcome. There are hundreds of thousands of lungs in this country at risk, and the time to overcome them is now.
Tous ces problèmes respiratoires qui donnent une bonne raison d'euthanasier plus vite. Ils vous font paniquer. Vous avez toute la tête penchée sur vos écrans de cellulaire. OK? Qu'est-ce que ça fait? Ils traitaient des tendinites des pouces. Là, ils sont rendus simplement à faire passer ça sur le dos d'une maladie. Quand vous paniquez, puis avec tous les médias de masse qui en venaient en masse, qu'est-ce que vous pensez que ça fait? Votre cou se contracte, vous avez toujours la tête penchée. La tête, c'est pesant. Fait que là, vos muscles sont plus forts de l'avant plutôt que de l'arrière. Si vous ne me croyez pas, demandez à n'importe quel chiropraticien, il va sûrement vous l'expliquer.